Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cook Hall. Listen, this is a new week. This is a new day, a day of refreshing, a day for a reset. We talk about this all the time. So to all of my new listeners, welcome. We talk about reset on this podcast because no matter how old you are, no matter how many mistakes you have made, you can always start all over again. Why? Because you deserve it. Because you were designed and created for such a thing. That you can always bounce back. You can always get that second, third, or fourth chance. So that's what we're talking about on this podcast. Starting all over again. Becoming a better you. So on this podcast, I share tips and tools that will assist you in becoming a better you. That's my motto. That's my passion. That's my purpose. And when I help you, guess what I do? I'm helping myself. So it's always an honor. It's always a pleasure to be able to do that. To come and share and help you as I also am helping myself. Today, I just want to encourage you. And I want to tell you that you're doing an awesome job. You might say, you don't understand. I made so many mistakes last week. It was so difficult. It was so challenging. You have no idea what happened last week. But you're here. You're here today. You're alive. You have another opportunity to start all over and get it right. This is the perfect time, the perfect chance, the perfect opportunity for you to go ahead and make up in your mind that you want better, that you want different, that you want an improvement, and then you can go ahead and begin to start. So don't worry about what happened last week or even yesterday. It might have been very challenging for you. It might have been a lot of difficulty for you. You might have came across a lot of obstacles. I mean, we all have faced different moments in our lives in which we question a whole lot about ourselves, our strengths, our integrity, our beliefs, right? They all come challenged at some point or another in our life. Always. Trust me, you're not the only one. But these things come to make you and I stronger. Believe me, anything that comes your way is not to destroy you at all. It's here to grow you. And let me tell you something about growth. It's very, very difficult. And it's very, very uncomfortable. Growth is not easy. It's not a walk in the park. It's not a stroll. It's a process. And anything that is a process, we always know it comes with a process, comes with what? Challenges and changes and shifts. So these things are oftentimes very uncomfortable for you and for me, but they are necessary. They are beneficial to you and to me. So what are we going to talk about today? I'm not going to keep you long. You know I don't like to do that. But what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about not comparing yourself to someone else. Not comparing your life to someone else. That is a grave mistake, and it can cause you unnecessary heartache, unnecessary pain, and it can make you feel a type of way that is unhealthy for you. And it's not always realistic. So we're going to talk about that, different avenues, different ways for us to make sure that you and I do not fall into the trap of comparison. So we're going to talk about the trap of comparison today. I want, before I start, to remind you guys that we are so fortunate to be able to share this message on different platforms now. We are now on iHeartRadio. We are now on Spotify. Come on. And we are now on Pandora. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And so we're so grateful for the opportunity to share this message on different platforms. And so we are excited to get this message out and to share it with as many people as we can. So I need your help in doing that. How can you help this podcast? You can share this podcast with someone that you know who are struggling with the topics that we're talking about. And if you have found that it was helpful or beneficial to you, then don't be selfish. Go ahead and share that information with someone else, friends, family. It doesn't even matter. Just go on and share it. You can even share it with someone who actually gets on your nerves. Go ahead and share it. Maybe they can benefit from some of these topics, because we talk about people who challenge us, right, in a very unhealthy way. Maybe they could see themselves in some of these topics that we're hitting. So go ahead and share it with even a foe, right? Go ahead and share it with them as well. Listen, also, before we get started, I want to encourage you to reach out and connect with me on other social media platforms. I am on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I am on Twitter, and I would love to be able to connect with you on those platforms as well. If you have any questions or concerns, or just want to tell me that this podcast and the other podcasts have helped you, go ahead and do that. I do engage with my listeners because it's important for me to see and to know what is helpful to you and what you want to talk about. So thank you so much for those who have done it so far. I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate your words of encouragement. And yes, I will continue to move forward in doing this, because I know that someone is being helped while they are listening. And not only are they listening, what are they doing, you guys? They are applying it. So let's get started. Are you ready? All right, well, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to talk about what I say about do not compare yourself to others. The downfall of the comparison. That's what we're talking about today. Now, listen, we all have done it. I mean, it could be something small. We have done it, man, I wish I would have, bought those shoes that she has on, or man, I wish I would have went to that school that they went to, or man, I wish I would have, right? And we kind of compare ourselves to other people. Sometimes it's not as dangerous because these are little small little things that we do. Oh man, that's really nice. I really wish I would have made that decision, made that choice. And sometimes it's small, but sometimes it's big. And we do this because we use one of our senses, right? And the senses that I'm talking about is our visual. Now, we don't necessarily know exactly what is going on in that person's life at all. We really don't. We look from a distance. Even if they share certain things with you, let me be really honest with you. People only share so much. They do not divulge their entire life or the entire story to you. They only share bits and pieces. So we really cannot take heed to every little thing that someone says regarding their life or their situation or whatever. We can only take bits and pieces because in there, they are not necessarily telling you everything. They're just not. It's just not what people do. So what we do is we use our senses and we look at with our eyes, right? That's the first thing we do. We look at a person, we size them up, we look at them up and down, and even from the first meeting, based upon what they're wearing, how their hair is, their clothes, their shoes. And then we begin to look at their mannerism, how they walk. Then we begin to listen with our other sense, which is our ears. We begin to hear them, how they speak, if they're articulate, if they're not, if they sound educated, if they're really, well versed with their words, if their sentences flow. I mean, we literally in a very quick moment. Now, you might not know that you're doing this, but in a very quick moment, we kind of summed up what we think we know about this person. Now, until they show you something different, you've already got in your mind what you think. Now, then they begin to speak, and then they begin to share things, and then you get even more information based upon what they're saying and what they're sharing with you. And so you get more information, and you kind of have this little tally of what you think this person is. What they're really about, what their life is about. And so the thing with that is I'm not going to say that we purposely always compare, but I think that subconsciously, in certain situations, we begin to compare ourselves to other people. Pretty much our generation younger than me for sure, but even my generation, we faced where, television kind of tells you, what the perfect size is and what the perfect makeup is and what's the perfect hairdo and hairstyles. And I mean, we're kind of brought up comparing ourselves to other people. We're brought up that way. Our television, our shows, our commercials, they all kind of embed into us a mentality, okay, of comparing ourselves to others. Now they tell you shouldn't do it, but they're doing it. They're constantly showing you, listen, if you having facial issues, pimples or acne or bad or poor skin, these are the products that you should be using in order for you to look like this. They give you an example of how your face should glow, how your face should be smooth, and how your face should look. And let me speak from a parent with a teenage girl right now. This is all that she sees. This is all that she hears. So 24/7, she's coming to me with different products and, different things that she can use she thinks to improve her skin, improve her hair, improve this, improve that, because all she's seeing on social media platforms and on TV is a comparison to what she is. And so because I see this 24/7, and I do mean 24/7, my daughter does have love for herself. It's not about that. It's about the fact that she's being brought up in a society where they are always telling her, this is the way you should look. This is the way you should walk. This is the way you should talk. This is the clothes that you should buy. And this is the way your face should look. This is the way your skin should look. This is the way your life should be. Okay. And so a lot of these things are not even genuine, first of all. So I find myself having to go and kind of like debunk and pull apart a lot of things that she's been taught and that she's been shown through these other outlets. Okay. Because as much as we want to feel as parents that we are the biggest influence in our children's lives, when they get to a certain age, they are not just focusing on what you're saying. No matter how much teaching that you give them, they are going to look at outside sources because these are their peers. So they're going to look at that. So my job is just to go and just begin to, pull apart some of that and show her value and who she is and how her independence and her own style, her own flair is important to herself and to society. It's important to be yourself. And so this is something that I emphasize all the time, and I'm always pushing to her and to my older children as well. And so because of that, I wanted to come on today because I know that if she is dealing with it based upon her generation, there are so many other people that are doing it also. And so I want to make sure that you understand the fall of that. There is a fall in comparing your life and yourself to other people. We do not know what those people are going through. We do not have a clue it's so many celebrities that are children and ourselves and you've admired from a distance and you thought so much of them, and then so many years later you find out all these tragic things that they've experienced and that they have gone through themselves, and the suffering and silence of different type of mental health issues and drug abuse and alcohol abuse. And it just kind of blows your mind because you never know what someone else is going through. Now, before you found all those things out, you might, as I have heard my children do many times, say, oh my God, it must be awesome. It must be great to have access to this and that and this and that and be able to, be a celebrity and have things just given to you and go to all these spectacular events and be in all these movies or sing all these beautiful songs and perform on stage. And they're just given all these accolades of wonderful opportunities. But I, once again, have to come in and remind them that there is a cost to all of that. To all of that. And some people handle it very well. And some do not. They struggle with it. They have a hard time with it. And then they begin to deal with drugs and alcohol and all these other things and have to check themselves into mental health facilities. And because it's not a cakewalk, because it's a process. Come on. I'm a tag right on in. It's not a cakewalk. It's a process. And everybody has their own journey. You have your journey. I have my journey. Your children have their journey. My children have their journey. And everybody has to walk their own journey. And we waste so much time looking at everybody else's walk. We're watching them stroll. We're watching them run. We're watching them jog. We're watching them do everything on their journey. And what we need to be focusing on is our own journey. See, I can't feel regret about what I'm doing if I'm not comparing it to somebody else. But if I see that this person seems way more advanced than I am, then I'm going to begin to pull apart what I'm doing. Now, what I'm doing right now can be very important, very significant, very special, very needed, okay, for myself and for others around me. But if I take my time and compare it to someone else, then I'm losing time. I'm losing the essence of where I am right now. And you will do that. You will lose the essence of who you are and where you are right now if you spend all your time comparing yourself, your life, your situation, whatever you have to somebody else's. I've learned to be content. In the Bible, Paul talks about that he knows what it's like to have. He knows what it's like to not have. But in all things, he learned to be content. And we must do that. We must learn to walk our own journey, walk our own path, and just be contented with that. I don't want to come up and have a make-believe life of what it would be like to live someone else's life. I don't want that. I learned a long time ago that I have no idea what's coming with their life. The baggage, the hurt, the pain, the loneliness, the suffering, the challenges, whatever. It could be all, good, but it's something that I necessarily cannot handle. Why? Because it's not for me. It's not my life. Every fiber of your being right now is based upon what you have experienced thus far. So you can't jump into my life and I can't jump into your life. Because we have been brought up a certain way. We have experienced certain things. We have been exposed to certain things, which has created who we are now. And that's how we're able just to keep moving on and doing what we do every day. But if we try to look at someone else's life and compare ourselves to other people, it's pure chaos. Nothing good comes from that. My skin is good enough. My size is good enough. My face is good enough. My hair is good enough. My walk is good enough. My talk is good enough. And there's no need for me to compare anybody else to what I have and to what I'm doing. Whatever they're doing has nothing to do with me. And I have no desire to change and swap places. They have this show of swapping wives, and it just brings out pure craziness because they realize that what other people are dealing with is something they have never dealt with and never would want to deal with. Never want to deal with. There is no need to compare because what works for them. When you look at the show, when they swap spouses, right? And it's not just wives, but it is wives. They swap wives, and you see someone who was they were born out in the woods in the country, and they work really hard and cutting wood and feeding their cows and their chickens, and this is just a hard labor, right? Wake up 4:00 in the morning, and they're doing all these different chores, right? The children got chores, the husband got chores, and the wife got chores, right? And then you go and they swap lives with a woman who lives in a downtown area, who lives in a beautiful home where everything is done for them. They get up whenever they need to get up. They, are eating out. Food is brought to them, or they're going out to dinner. Nobody's making dinner, right? The kids are not working hard. The kids have no other responsibility than to go to school. The mother's, taking care of, some of the housework, but she has a maid, and the maid takes care of the majority of the work. Now take that person who has a maid that's doing all of her work and taking care of all the responsibilities for the family, and swap her with someone who is out in the woods in the country, and she's milking cows and feeding chickens and up at 4:00 in the morning preparing breakfast for her family and cleaning up and going throughout the whole land that they have and picking up garbage and all these things. Now swap those lives. Now the person always on these shows, the person who is used to having the maid, everything done for her, she looks at the lady who lives out in the country, and she thinks that's abusive. And she says there's no way in the world that a woman should have to do all of this work, right? She says this is ridiculous, this is awful, you guys need to change this around. How dare you make her do all of this, and it's exhausting. And then the woman moves from the country, goes to city life, and she goes, this is laziness, this is ridiculous. How dare you guys not train your kids to do chores and to work and to be responsible, and you're not setting them up for a great future. And guess what? They all have their own perspectives. Now, I'm sure that, someone loves the city life and someone loves the country life. There's no need to push any one of those perspectives on the other, because that upbringing of that country life has brought them to where they are, and that upbringing of that city life has brought them up to where they are. And their perspectives are both genuine. Their perspectives are both okay for them. And the issue is when you try to swap lives and look at other people's lives, that's when that chaos come in. It make no sense to either party, because both parties saw things differently. And we need to remember that. We need to remember that we are different in the way that we are brought up. We're different in our cultures. We're different in our beliefs. We're different in just our perspectives on certain things. And it's okay. It is absolutely okay to be different, as long as we just respect each other, right? But we need to make sure that we're not looking from a country perspective at the city life and saying, man, I wish I would have, did things differently, and I would have been where she is. Or looking at the city life, looking at the country life and saying, oh my goodness, I wish I would have done what she did. And then I could be sitting, on all these acres and have all this land, because guess what? With that acres and those lands come responsibility that the city life does not want and is not accustomed to. And if they look at the country life, look over at the city life, there is a form of that they have, having the maid and everything done, that the person who's accustomed to a country life will find that to be unfulfilling and boring, because they are used to getting up and going and doing everything, and they enjoy it. They love their animals, they love their farm, they love their land, they love the country living. They go to the city, it's noisy, it's busy, it's chaotic, and they don't want it. But from a distance, based upon some ups and some downs they may have in the country life, that might look good to them for a moment. Same with the city. For a minute, with all the chaos of the city and the noise and the frustration, and life starts hitting at them, for a minute, she might look down at the country life and think that's a better choice. I should have made that choice. But it's for a minute. And we do that. We make awful decisions real quick because of something that happened. We'll say, man, I just wish I would have, done this or done that. And we do it based upon something that happened. Everything's not going the way we want to for this moment. So we start switching our beliefs and switching, what we think things should be like. But it's for a minute. It's for a moment. It's just for a moment. So it's a downfall to doing that. It's a downfall. I've heard people saying, this is a perfect example. I'm going to use my daughter for this example. Every day my daughter would get up and go to school. And she would get to the door. And she would say, oh my God, this is awful. Every day I got to get up and do the same thing over and over and over again. Going to school, Mom, this should be illegal. This should be against the law. I'm tired. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to do this. And she would do this every day, and she's been doing this for a long, long time. Okay. And so I would tell her, yeah, I understand, have a good day. Bye-bye. Right. And she just, I wish I could be, at home with you. And I wish you can teach me at home. And she would say this kind of stuff all the time, every day, every day, every day. When we had to shut down because of COVID-19. My daughter has been home since March. My daughter starts saying to me, I wish I was at school. I really wish I could be back with my friends and in the hallways and in the classrooms. She missed it. Everything that she complained about while she was going, she missed it. She wanted to go back to it. And I just found that to be so fascinating because she wanted to switch roles before COVID-19. She wanted to be at home. She didn't want to get up and go to school every day. She did not want to have to stay there for those hours. She did not want any part of it, right? But once she was told you don't have to do it anymore, she was miserable. She missed school. So it was for a moment. And her moment seemed like a long time, but it wasn't until she made that change of what she was actually asking for. She really didn't know what she was asking for. That's my point. She didn't know what she was asking for because when she actually had to do what she had been begging for, she didn't want it. She didn't like it. She absolutely hated being at home and not going to school, which is something I thought I would never hear from her. But I did. And my point is, we do that even as an adults. We do that. We say, oh God, please, give me this job. I really would love this job. I've been praying for a job like this. We get this job. We go to this job a couple of years. And then after a couple of years, we like, I hate this place. Excuse me, you guys. I hate this place. I really, 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 really wish I didn't have to get up every morning and come to this place. Right? That's what we do. We ask for something, and then when we get it, we're not grateful. We're not happy about it. So there are a lot of things that we think that we want. It's a lot of things that we think that we need. It's a lot of things that we feel would be better for us. But it's a lot of times when we get what we've asked for, what we wanted, what we thought that we need, we realize we didn't. We didn't. And that is what happens when you compare your life to someone else's. You're looking at all those things that they have, and you're looking at the person that they're married to, their children, their house, their cars, or whatever else, and you feel like, I need those things, I want those things. But there's accountability and there's a cost to everything. And so unless you're ready to pay that cost, unless you're ready to deal with what comes with what they have, you should not desire to live anyone's life. You should only walk your own journey and enjoy your own journey. And that's hard to say, to enjoy your journey, because you're thinking that there's things that come with that journey. But even those things like Paul said, even the low moments, the tough moments, the challenging moments, the moments where you feel like you don't have enough, those moments too are moments that you should find contentment in, because those are the growth moments. Those are the moments that are going to build you up. Those are the moments that's going to make you stronger. Those challenging moments are the moments that push you. Those challenging moments are the ones that shift you. Those moments that are uncomfortable, those moments that are unfamiliar to you, those are the moments that develop who you really are and who I really am. When we are not going through challenges and changes, we're contented, and we become very sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes we become very lazy and don't push to change ourselves or a situation. But when things become uncomfortable, we have no choice. We're going to begin to move. We're going to begin to change. We're going to begin to do whatever is needed and necessary to see the change. And so sometimes trials and tribulations have to come. The Bible says that trial and tribulations come to make us strong. So that's what they do. They come to make you, they come to make me strong. Not to break you, but to make you strong. What normally makes you strong is what? Is endurance, right? When you exercise, you become stronger, right? You become healthier and stronger. Same thing with your faith. Same thing with these life moments. The more you are challenged and put weights on, and you begin to work out with those weights, the more you walk, and the longer you walk, you build endurance. Well, you build up muscle, spiritual muscle, faith muscles when you are challenged and you stand your ground. You are challenged, but you are exercising your faith. And all that's ever going to do for you is make you stronger. It's not going to break you. It's not designed to break you. You're not allowed to go through situations and circumstances and issues in order for it to break you. But you're allowed to go through these moments so that you can build up your faith muscles and grow stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So I want to encourage you today to be reminded that you are not to compare your life to someone else's life. Their story is not your story, and your story is not theirs. You don't want to swap that. Trust me. Take the journey that God has blessed you with and given to you. Take the good, the bad, and the ugly of it and allow it to work for you. Accept it. Just go ahead and accept it and begin to work it so that you can grow in it and you can become strong in it and you can share with someone else what God has done for you. God bless you guys. It was a good day. It was an awesome day. It's a new week for me. So whenever you're listening to this, just know this was a new week. This is how I like to start my week off, encouraging you and empowering you and sharing tips and tools that will assist you to becoming a better you. You were listening to Renewed Mind Revolution Podcast with your host, Michelle Cook Hall. God bless you guys. I love you. But most importantly, remember that God loves you more. God bless.